Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Spiguyver, this is Spiguyver Backpacking. I'm out here in the woods today to test out which of these systems is going to work better in a little bit of a breezy situation. So, we're gonna get these things set up. Got a little bit more to talk about, so it's not quite as simple as just saying which one of these works better. It's a little bit breezy out here today, so we will see. These are supposedly some of the best windproof systems out there as far as alcohol systems go. So why don't we come back, check this out. Let's go. Okay, so these stove systems are some of the ones that are out there that people rave about the most. So you have the Trail Designs Caldera cone system, and you have my new Zelph ultralight system, which has like a mini titanium Caldera cone. So the difference being, these are both Toaks 550 mugs. So my favorite cook pot of all time. So they fit down in. With the Caldera cone comes all the way up to the rim up at the top. So it's bigger, it's a little bit heavier, but it traps all the heat all up and around this pot. Now I have modified this one to fit this because this was actually for an Evernew pot with the same diameter, but it was taller, so I cut it down to keep the burn height exactly the same. And what you will see is if you put both of these together, they are the same height. So from the ground or the top of the burner to the bottom of the pot is going to be exactly the same with both of these because the height is the same. So here is the Zelph one. I did a review on this one not too long ago, and the difference being Zelph took the Toaks Ultralight cook kit, put a roll in it, took his little mini Caldera cone, and it fits down there, and so that rolled edge is where it stops. So it traps the heat down underneath and up to this rim, but doesn't keep it all the way up through. It also has more holes in it, and so will that affect its performance in a little bit of a breezy situation like we have out here right now today? So the test is going to be with 12 ounces of water. The water is pretty cold because it's about 25, 26 degrees out here this morning. So we're going to get this measured out, and wait, they come with different stoves. So the Toaks, or the Zelph, comes with the modified Starlight stove, which is 14 grams without this little pot stand. With the pot stand, it's 15.8. I'm going to use it with the pot stand just because I am. And then you have the 1210 from Trail Designs, and this one is 15 grams. So both of them right around 15 grams. So weight is not a factor here. The difference in weight here between these systems is pretty minimal. We'll get them on the scales and I'll show you guys that. But here are the stoves. So I think the only way to do this fairly is to do two tests with each one. One with the Zelph stove, one with the Trail Design stove, and see what the results are that way. We're going to be using 1 ounce of fuel. It will be the yellow bottle heat for each of the tests. And that's how we're going to do it. Not scientific. We're not bringing out the thermometer. We're not doing anything like that. We're just going to go till we know it's a rolling boil, take a look at the time, and see what we've got. And that's how we'll roll. All right, guys, let's do this. Okay, we've got both of these stoves fueled up. I didn't actually bring out a measuring cup, so I estimated an ounce. Really, that's not the factor. We're just looking at where we get this thing to a boil. So I'm gonna get the timer ready to go on here. Got that thing ready. And as far as the amount of water, I went with the measurements in the pot itself, and it may be off a little bit, but that's how it would be out in the woods anyway. All right, let's go ahead and get these things lit up. Okay, I'm just gonna let them sit for a few seconds just to make sure that they are fully going. And it looks like they are. So now I'm gonna go ahead, put this pot on, hit start, and we'll see whether or not they can come to a boil, which one does it faster, and we'll just see. Then we'll switch the stoves under each pot in each system and do it all over again. Okay, so we're a little bit past 6 minutes. We're about 6:15, and I'm gonna open the lids and just kind of see. I know this isn't really something that tells much, but okay, so there's a little bit of steam coming off of there, bubbles in the bottom. But that one looks like it actually might be getting close to boiling. Now they do have different stoves, and that's why it's going to be important to do the flip-flop and see how each works with the other stove. But so far it looks like the Caldera cone system is coming to a boil faster. Does that mean it's more efficient? Absolutely not. It just happens to mean that in these situations today where we're at, it seems to be performing a little bit better. It is cold out here, so to me it does make sense that that cone coming all the way up to the top, up to that rim, would trap in a little bit more heat and keep the heat loss to a minimum. And there we have a rolling boil on the Caldera cone. It is 7 minutes, and it is 7 minutes and 15 seconds to that rolling boil there. Just a quick peek, and we're not there yet with the Zelph system. Okay, so we have a boil right now, right at 10 minutes. We've got a boil going in the Zelph one. So 7 minutes, 15 seconds, 10 minutes on the dot for the Zelph one to come to a boil. So we've got a boil in both of them. With an ounce of fuel, we were able to do that. It definitely seems like this system was a little bit more efficient, was able to do it a little bit quicker, but we were able to do it on both of them, so they both definitely work. It's just a matter of how quickly you want it done. So let's let these things burn themselves off. I will get it reset up, and we'll come back and test it with the opposite stoves in each system. All right, I've got them both refueled. I've got fresh, cold water in both of them. So let's go ahead and get these things lit. I'm gonna have to take off my glove to make sure. Okay. And that one does not feel like it is lit. There we go. Now it feels like it's lit. I'm gonna let it go for a couple of minutes, or a few seconds anyway. Make sure it gets going. Reset my timer. Okay, it is set up, ready to go. Got a good amount of heat coming off both of them. Definitely not all the way to a bloom yet, but I think we're good enough. We're gonna go ahead and get this started. Set the pots on. And start. So we'll come back once these things are coming to a boil. We are just a little bit past 6 minutes. And so this test, by switching the stoves, really takes the stove out of the equation. And we can do a comparison. This both times versus this both times. Both of them are actually doing pretty well right now. So I think we're going to see a boil pretty quickly on one of these. Looks to me, we're getting awfully close right here. So let me keep an eye on this one. And we've got a small boil, and it's probably going to be rolling here in just a second. We've got a rolling boil right at 7 minutes. So 7 minutes, that's actually 15 seconds faster than the other stove did in this system before. So that's a pretty good result to take note of. So we definitely have a very hard boil at this point. This one is still working, but getting there faster than it did last time. We are currently at 7 minutes and 35 seconds, and we'll keep watching this one. But like I said, this test, by moving the stoves between the two, took the actual stove out of the equation, and we can take a look at the system and how the system performs. So it's pretty obvious already, without waiting for this one to come to a boil, that the full Caldera cone, at least in this environment today, is the winner. With both stoves, it was about 7 minutes and 7 minutes and 15 seconds, whereas we had 10 minutes with Zelph system with the Starlight stove, and we're still waiting with the 1210 from Trail Designs. So we're at 8 minutes and 15 seconds, still waiting. There's definitely more steam coming out of here. There's a lot more movement in the water, so bubbles and circulation that you can see, and it's getting close. So there is a boil. We've got 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So 8:50. Put that in here. So with the Caldera cone with the 1210, we had 7 minutes 15 seconds. With the Caldera cone and the Zelph modified Starlight, we had 7 minutes. With the Zelph system, with the Zelph stove, we had 10 minutes, and with the Zelph system, with the 1210, we had 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So, pretty clear results there. Now, some of the things I will point out, once we get back into my house, get it on the scale, and we can talk about weights, there's some other pieces, some other details I will point out that I wanted to talk about that may be part of the reason. But since we've got hot water here, and I've got some coffee, I'm gonna shut you guys off. I'm gonna drink myself some coffee and enjoy this beautiful weather. All right, so I've got the two systems right here in front of me, and we wanted to take a look at what the weight difference is between the two. So it is just the pot and the windscreen slash Caldera cone that we're gonna be weighing. And the reason is, it doesn't matter what the rest of it weighs, because we've already determined that the stove could be kind of substituted back and forth between them. Either way, it seemed that the Caldera cone was coming out ahead. And so we'll talk about a little bit on why I think that is the case, other than the height of the Caldera cone. But let's go ahead. I've got this thing zeroed out. So let's just start with the Zelph system. So this titanium little windscreen with the Toaks 550 light pot. The pots are exactly the same on both of them. So this comes out to 87.2 grams. So we got 87.2 grams for that one. For this setup, we have 102 even. So we're talking about 15 grams difference. So 15 grams difference for these two systems, this one being 15 grams heavier. It is a quicker boil, which means it is holding in more heat. So while we've got quite a few holes up towards the top on this one, there's a big area that's blocking the wind, and then we've got these small holes that I've punched in the bottom. On this one, while here on the side that it actually comes together, there's not a whole lot. When you flip this around and you get to looking at this, there are a lot of holes in there. I mean, you've got upper holes, you've got kind of mid holes, you've got lower holes. So there's actually, as far as windscreen screen goes, this is not blocking that much of the wind. A lot of holes on this side, not a lot on this side. So make sure that you position it correctly so that the wind is hitting the side that will actually block the wind a little bit. But even so, there's a lot of ventilation in this one, whereas this one really does block the wind and trap in the heat. That's the key, is it traps in the heat. And the fact that it traps in the heat all the way up to the top, that is a big plus for this one, whereas this one only traps the heat up to this rim right there. But is that the whole story? No, you have to figure out how you're going to store the two of these. So this one breaks down real easy, fits down, actually if I go this way, fits down inside of the pot, and you can actually put the lid back on. It all fits down inside of there. Now, as you can see, there's no way you're breaking this one down and fitting it inside of this pot. What I have done is I actually will roll it up kind of tight, and then I've got my Tyvek ground cloth that I lay down underneath my hammock. I'll wrap this up in it, and it'll go in the pocket on the outside of my backpack. Because of the size here, you can actually fit a, I don't have one out here, but a fuel bottle will fit down inside of there. Even that 8-ounce one that I've got fits down inside of there real nice. So that's one way to do it, but as you can see, no way is it gonna fit in there. And no matter how you try and squeeze it, it's not gonna fit in there. So that's something to deal with. But for 15 grams, think about that. That's not a whole lot of fuel. You're probably gonna make that up carrying that if you're doing more than a night or two. So, something to consider. If you have the room to do something like this, it might make sense. This one is done out of aluminum, but if you were to get some really lightweight titanium, there are a lot of places out there that sell really lightweight, little thin gauge titanium. If you were to make this out of some titanium, exactly the same design as this, I think you could probably get the weights pretty similar or a little bit closer than what they are right now, and you'd have a killer system, but you still got to figure out how to pack it. Anyway guys, that's kind of what I came up with this. I'm going to do a little bit more testing with this with a couple of different stoves. So the Starlight kind of seemed to be the champion on this, but I've got this new one from Trail Designs, kind of the alternative to the 1012. This is the Kojin. So we're going to give this a try. I'm going to be doing some tests with this later on down the road, but I also want to try it with this system to see where it stacks up. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. If you haven't done so before, go hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you hit that little bell icon so that you get all the notifications when I'm releasing new videos. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you down the trail.